The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has lost yet another member. Newly elected councillor Minenhle Mkhize was shot dead outside his home on Saturday. Mkhize's death follows a string of other political killings in the province. The ANC KZN Provincial Spokesperson Nhlakanipho Ntombela joins us now to unpack that particular story. Condolences once again, Mr. Ntombela, on the loss of yet another member of the ANC serving in political office. And this is certainly someone who still had some years to serve, possibly because, he was only 39. You visited the family over the weekend. Are you gleaning any details as to what exactly happened?
Thank you, Tulasu, for the opportunity. It's difficult to tell at this stage. We visited the family yesterday with the leadership of the municipality, with the speaker, Comrade Utabani Nyawase, and other councillors. The report we got is that when he arrived at home late that day, coming from a family function, the chap who shot him came as was parking his vehicle and shot him about 6 or 7 times, and he ran away. It's difficult to understand what happened because there were no issues won in that ward. He was a new councillor who had just won that ward from a former independent candidate, but also there were no threats on his life. At this stage, when I inquired with the Speaker of eThekwini, he had about 8 or 9 councillors who had requested to be provided with security because they said they've got some threats and they were still undergoing some threat analysis. He was not part of those councillors, so we're still shocked what exactly happened and what was the cause thereof. We're hoping that the investigation by the police will give us a clear picture of what exactly transpired. But at this stage, we have no clue.
Yeah, but I suppose the fact that nothing was taken from him, he was just merely shot dead by this person who then ran off, it clearly starts to point us in a direction that says robbery was not the motive, or hijacking or anything like that.
It's true. When you observe the terrain, when we drove through to his area, one was just observing. It is clear that the person who shot him is someone who knows the area. It's clear that the person who knew that he was coming, and when he parked his car, and that he was driving alone. Because when he shot him, he then walked for a distance, because no one can tell whether he was picked by a car or what, the assassin, at any other time, because the main road from his own house is almost more than 5 kilometers away. So it tells you something that the person who did this had a clear motive of killing Comrade Ukabazela and nothing else.
So without then wearing blinkers in terms of the possibility for a motive and keeping it open, because you and I are at a point where we are puzzled by this murder. We don't know the first thing about what could have been the motive, and that's why police are investigating. Without doing that, you mentioned something else, though, that's quite interesting. Not interesting, concerning is rather the proper word. You are saying that about 9 councillors in eThekwini, when you checked with the speaker, about 9 councillors have requested some kind of protection because they've received threats to their lives within the context of what we know over the years in KwaZulu-Natal that led to the starting up of a dedicated police unit that probes political killings. This is surely worrying, and this coming after the November elections.
Yes, it is worrying. Part of the problem I think we must face as an ANC is that some of us see political deployment as employment opportunities. Some see their deployment as an opportunity of enriching themselves. So some, they see those positions within that context, not of serving the people. Hence, these threats will come out in numbers like they happen now. This has been happening almost for the last 10 years in the local government sphere. That's why there's been facing these challenges. Because part of the problem, I think it's something we must make an introspection on as an organization. that what kind of members we have, but also what kind of people we deploy into the position of government. Because if you understand that you are a councillor serving your people with no other interest, would not be having some of these issues. And that was one character of Comrade Kabazel was. He was clear in serving his people. He had no other interests. He had no other issues. Hence, he had no security issues. He would drive on his own. It was just a young fellow who had just been elected. Hence, was saying that it's an issue as an organization. We must make an introspection of to say, how do we correct it as we move forward?
All right, Nhlakanipho, Ntombela, yeah, really tragic situation there. How many more of these conversations are we going to have, you and I? I know that we've spoken about this phenomenon a number of times over the last few years. Sadly, it continues. Let me take you to eNCA's Pulele Chweti-Jones. He's been attending the media briefing by Action South Africa, unveiling Bongani Baloyi as their latest member to join their ranks. And I believe, Pule, you have Bongani Baloyi with you on standby. All right, I'm told we don't have Pule at the moment. We'll go back to him for that conversation with Bongani Baloyi and try and, glean a bit more detail in terms of his thinking around joining Action SA.